Hold on, do it again. Do it again.
Friends, Jai Hind. Today we have reached the 70th year of the formation of the Republic of India. At the outset, let me send my heartfelt greetings to all the people, the viewers, specifically my countrymen who are watching me today. I made it a point to send some of my heartfelt messages across to the people whom I would like to communicate. And it would be my endeavor that this communication and message is reached out to all the people. India is a nation with a great cultural heritage. Unfortunately, over a period of time, we as Indians seem to have lost out on appreciating the amount of efforts that have been put, and we have basically not been doing many of our duties which we should be doing. Merely by having and celebrating an Independence Day or a Republic Day, a person only communicates his good feelings. But along with good feelings, good actions, meaningful actions and efforts are necessary. At this stage, being a lawyer, though today I am dressed in this outfit in order to show my solidarity towards the army men of our nation who render a selfless service, every citizen, in my opinion, must be given compulsory civil defense and military training. Civil defense and military training are a part of the curricula of countries like Israel, Singapore, China, Japan, wherein students have to compulsorily undergo a military training program. I suggest to all my countrymen that they message out to the education ministries as well as to the central government to make civil defense and military training, military martial arts, fitness exercises a compulsory part of the curricula before awarding the matriculation certificate. Amongst girls, it's become a very, very important necessary, specifically keeping in mind the rape cases, the Nirbhaya case, Eve teasing cases, wherein women have to be empowered with self-defense techniques. Another important aspect is the rising Gundaism in some remote areas like Bihar, UP, and even in Mumbai there are some pockets. Even in Delhi there are some pockets where Gundaism is on the rise. In such cases, I would suggest that the police gives liberal interpretation to section 41, the power of arrest. The power of arrest even today in certain kinds of cases is empowered with the citizens too, but few citizens use it. Citizens must be given even martial arts training and defense trainings in camps in order to encounter certain attacks like the Ajmal Kasab attack on Mumbai, terrorist attacks, and in areas where this is there's an impending chance of such dangers, citizens should be well equipped to fight out. Only and merely relying on the police today may not fetch you anywhere. Another important thing which actually reminds me that we as a nation must be careful of is the sacred fabric of the Constitution of India. The Constitution of India is divided into the state executive, legislative, as well as the judiciary, the three wings. The judiciary is supposed to be an independent state, an independent wing, not a state, sorry, independent wing in this constitutional setup. Amongst in the Vedas and even in the Hindu cultural religion, even in Islam, a good judiciary is a sine qua non, is an important aspect in the functioning of a proper civilized and a welfare state. Of late, parties, political parties, the media and amongst them even sometimes reports of infighting, difference of opinion amongst judges, must not be published. They should not actually, even if published, they should be in a proper critical manner. Today's times, we have a growing tendency of state interference in the decisions of the judiciary. The judiciary gives and decides certain particular things. Then the state steps in and passes a retrospective ruling. These messages again are sent across WhatsApp messages. Finally, review petitions are filed in the Supreme Court. What happens is, in cases where state starts interfering with the judicial functions, it attacks and it interferes with the neutrality of the justice systems, which is very, very bad for the country. Another important aspect, being a lawyer and having put in about 17 years in practice and say another 2 years as a practitioner of income tax, I may also say that the lower judiciary has been neglected. The lower judiciary needs a tremendous amount of improvement. People forget that the lower judiciary, the magisterial courts, the district courts, which is where the people and where the remotest possible people also have an interaction, which is what would be called as the retail judiciary, the actual judiciary where people interact with the judges on small scale and later on in the appellate side, the High Court, and then finally at a division bench in the High Court or at the Supreme Court. Now what happens is, when this judiciary is not paid attention to, when sufficient training is not imparted to the lower judiciary, then it affects the judgments. It does affect the judgments. Apart from this, there are infrastructure problems. Then there are infrastructural problems. Infrastructural problems such as the stenos not being available, the board not being made properly, the causeless of the particular courts sometimes even today being made just half an hour, 15 minutes before. There are several problems today incurred in the judiciary. Many organizations have shot up, basically, focusing more on the higher judiciary. According to me, the lower judiciary is equally important. It is because from there, the base of the judiciary starts. In the mofussil areas, in the semi-urban areas, where people do not have direct access to High Court, people go to district courts. These aspects, I humbly suggest that the Honorable Chief Justice of India, the President, as well as the law ministries may look into properly. Another third important aspect, which as a lawyer I have been incurring, is the real bad problem of false cases. Rivalries amongst advocates, political rivalries, departmental rivalries of a very local kind of nature being given the face of a false atrocity case, false matrimonial cases. And these cases, without preliminary inquiry, are registered by the police in order to, I may humbly say, let me put it across very frankly, in order to harass innocent citizens. And even after the police files a false report, the magistrate for years do not decide this. This aspect has to be taken care of. The fourth aspect, another aspect which we see is on the back foot in our country, is the expenditure on defense, the expenditure on hospital conditions, the expenditure on medical facilities. Expenditure on defense is a must, specifically when we have neighbors like China, we have neighbors like Pakistan, we have issues such as Tibet, we have issues such as the annexation of Tibet or non-annexation of Tibet, the issues of Leh Ladakh, the issues of Kashmir. Expenditure on defense is a must, and litigation on gun deals, litigation on army deals should as much as possible be done in court hearings, which should not be made public. It creates a very poor impact on the defense systems of the country also. The next aspect, not the third aspect I would say, the next aspect which I would like to focus on is the animal welfare. People in urban areas like Mumbai, Delhi, and various urban areas have dogs, have pets. Pets today are treated as family members. Day in and day out, we see the way and the manner in which people treat the animals. The animals also form an important and an essential part of a living of an individual. Let me say, the animal in the house reduces the chances of various kinds of ill effects, various kind of ill health effects. It gives a good companion also. These aspects, as a citizen, I would say one must consider. We as India today consider and talk only about rights, the rights which we sought to give. But who has spoken today of the duties that we must give to the nation? A fundamental duty is also well enshrined under the Constitution of India, but people do not do their fundamental duties. They expect. There is all the sacrifices, all the hard work given by a few are reaped by the entire masses. The time has come today that people in our country should, on an individual level, do their bit of contribution. Just as I do a bit of contribution in the fields in which I have knowledge, every person should do that bit. कर चले हम फिदा जानो तन साथियों अब तुम्हारे हवाले वतन साथी हम. जय हिंद. वंदे मातरम.